I think Still Nation, one of the most overused stats or talking points in the Fire Mike Tomlin crowd, or a lot of people who don't like Mike Tomlin, but we're now stuck with him. If you like him or don't like him for the next 3 years, one of the most overused talking points, I think, is this notion around Mike Tomlin's coaching tree. You hear it all the time. You hear that it was Coach Cowell's players. It was the standard is a standard. We're getting to 500. We're 9-8. I get all that. I understand that people are still very, very frustrated. But I come to this point with I'm starting to get sick of hearing about the coaching tree. And I want to ask you guys a question out there in Still a Nation. Does it really matter? My quick answer, no, it doesn't matter. There are guys out there that have been like assistants working with Tomlin, or there are players working with Tomlin. There's Randall Earl, who played for Tomlin and also played for Cara as well, who was a receiver. Now he's with the Detroit Lions. I think he's a receivers coach or an assistant. Possibly could be maybe moved up to OC because Ben Johnson, the Lions guy, just moved on from the Lions. So that's what I hear. It's like, Dan Campbell was building this coaching tree, right? Now, let's stick at that point just for 1 minute. Dan Campbell is building the coaching tree because Aaron Glenn is now DC with the Jets. So that means that Arthur Smith is going to get a job there too. So Arthur Smith probably stays as OC for the Steelers. But we have the OC who was Ben Johnson. Now, he did have time in Detroit. I'm reading this from Wikipedia. He had since 2020, with the Lions. He was tight ends coach, passing game coordinator in 2021. He was OC for 2 years, and then he's moving on to the rival, the Chicago Bears. So they would say that he would be under Dan Campbell's last 3 years, and that's his coaching tree. And people talk about this coaching tree all the time with Sean McVay's and all these different kind of skill sets, right? But the guy, Ben Johnson, he started with, all the way back in 2009, Boston College, tight ends coach, Miami Dolphins, assistant quarterbacks coach in 2013, Miami Dolphins tight ends coach, wide receivers coach, and moved on to the Lions in 2019. So I asked the question, does it really matter? I know people aren't very happy with Mike Tomlin. There hasn't been many changes been happening recently. There was the discussion, I think, with Russell Wilson. We might talk about that in a few days or the next video or whatever it may be. But Russell Wilson wants to come back to Pittsburgh. He was on the Pat McAfee show today talking about they're now in some contracts or, trying to at least start the conversation around the contract. I'm at the point, I don't mind seeing either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson come back. I think you've got to choose one direction, though. I don't think you have to. I don't think you go down the same path by bringing both in. You need to choose one direction, and that has to be QB1. And you go with that guy for the next year or 2 years. I wouldn't mind seeing Fields getting a 3-year contract at the right money and building around him for the next, because he's 25, 26 years of age. But if they go the route of Russell Wilson, where he's the veteran, then you get Russell Wilson on the books until he retires. But back to the coaching tree. So everyone's talking about Dan Campbell and his coaching tree with 2 players, and there's way more than Tomlin has ever created, right? Look into it, though. Try and find some players. There are a few out there. Randall Earl, and there's one guy I want to bring up as well, who's going to the playoffs this week. I think sometimes we forget about this stuff. We forget about the players who were drafted by Mike Tomlin back in the early days, or the guys who played with Mike Tomlin or coached with Mike Tomlin, right? Here's one guy I want to focus on, and there is more, but I want to focus on one guy, and that was big play Will Gay, who used to play cornerback for us. He's a Washington Commanders team assistant defensive backs coach, and he's heading into the NFC championship. And Gay joins the Commanders with 11 years playing experience, 10 with Pittsburgh Steelers, 2007 to 2013, right? And he had 1 year with the Arizona Cardinals. He served as D-back coach with Missouri. And in 2019, Gay served as a coaching assistant for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So why isn't there any real credit? Is there no credit that this guy goes on to be an assistant coach for the Commanders in the playoffs, probably has a lot of experience, a lot of communication, or had a lot of communication, probably learned a lot of things from Mike Tomlin, and it's just not talked about, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. It's just not talked about. A lot of people start saying it's coaching tree, it's this guy under this guy, and then they go on to be OC, they go on to be DC. Right now, the Lions, they have no OC. Right now, the Lions, they have no DC. They've got to fill those holes, and I'm sure they will with their assistants, but they've just gone, see you later. One guy's gone to the Bears, one guy's gone to the Jets. No idea why you want to go to the Jets, But that's just crazy to me because I think they're a failing franchise and going backwards with the addition of Rodgers, and I don't know if he's going to come back for another year. But what I'm trying to say is that William Gay is serving as has a job as the assistant defensive backs coach, and nobody's really talking about it, right? And he played for the Steelers for 10 years. And I'm going to go through some of his stats. And of course, William Gay, big play Will Gay, he still leads the Steelers with the most pick sixes in Steelers history. And he was a fifth round overall pick 170 in the 2007 draft. That was Mike Tomlin's first year as a coach. William Gay had played 176 games overall, and he played 160 with the Steelers. We'll stick to Steelers stats. He had 11 interceptions with the Steelers. He had 5 interceptions for a TD. That's a most by a Steeler. Had 1 fumble recovery. And with the Steelers tackling, had over 520 tackles. Plus, he had over, he had tackles for a loss, 30. And he was always around the ball. And he had 6 sacks with the Steelers. And pass deflections, 81. Right? This bloke, everyone talks about coaching tree. This guy under that guy goes to another team. And then they use their same skill sets, their schemes, their personality, their plays, it's like, okay, I'm Dan Campbell and my 2 guys now, they have their coaching tree and they go find some other coach and they do this. Where's the recognition towards Mike Tomlin with this bloke being William Gay? I hope he goes on a winner. I hope the Commanders go all the way to the Super Bowl and they go and beat the Bills. Not the Chiefs. If it's Commanders, that'd be crazy. Commander and Chief. If it's versus the Commander and Chiefs, if they verse each other, I hope the Commanders win. Just so that we can go back to that Mike Tomlin drafted this guy in the 5th round, William Gay. He had a job with the Steelers in 2019. He found another role in the NFL with the Commanders. He's got himself there in an assistant position. Maybe he moves up in the future. Maybe he becomes a DC. Maybe he becomes another highlighter person, and we build that coaching tree. Because the point I'm trying to make is, this doesn't really matter. I don't think it does. I don't think this idea of coaching tree really matters. What matters is going out there and winning games. And right now, Pittsburgh Steelers aren't doing that. There needs to be change. There needs to be some philosophy change. There needs to be some sort of notion where the Steelers are getting better by personnel or scheme or whatever it may be. You can simply not lose 5 games in the last 5 games in the last 5 and think you're a good side. The Steelers were not a good side right near the end. They made the playoffs. They could beat the good sides, but they could not beat the great sides. That's why we only have 4 left: the Chiefs, Bills, Washington, and the Eagles. Only 4 left, right? Only 4 left. So in that sense, this idea of the coaching tree, I don't think it matters that much. But in the comments below, let me know if it matters. I just don't think it does. But I do wish him well, though. I wish William Gay really well because he is now working with the Commanders. And last week, they picked off Goff 3 times. If they go and beat Hurts and go to the Super Bowl, it's a former Pittsburgh Steeler that played over 11 years with the Steelers, over 500-something tackles. He leads the Steelers with the most pick sixes, and he's like, want to steal all this, he's us, right? And that links back to Tomlin. So therefore, he should get credit, but I don't think he will. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Do coaching trees matter? I don't think they do. Let me know.